And we begin with a story that has really striking revelations, and it's from inside the Trump cabinet meeting. And this is something where we're going to learn a lot in the next couple of moments. You may have heard a little bit about it, but I'm going to go through the evidence, the facts here, because it is exactly what this Trump White House and a lot of what Elon Musk is up to. It paints a picture of it in a way that's different from what we've heard in public, from all of the usual PR and the political press conferences and the efforts to tell a certain story. We're now going to go tonight together behind the scenes. This is reporting that shows what many would call a dysfunctional White House, and you'll see why. People at war with themselves and each other over the efforts to basically dismantle large parts of the federal government by someone who doesn't run the federal government, wasn't elected to the position, Elon Musk, and clashing with the very people who, of course, the president also picked to be in charge of these departments. And we often draw on different reporting around here. You know that from watching the news, right? We mention different stories. This is from the New York Times. Credit to their reporters, their journalists getting this story out. And it is a bombshell. The Times reports that Musk basically ended up in a clash, a conflict with much of the cabinet. That was Thursday this week. And laced into these other officials, some of whom are important, right? If you're picked to run the State Department, you are a pretty important official within the government. And just to put it clearly, we are talking right now about an unelected billionaire sitting in on these important meetings and going at people in very intense terms. And the substance matters as well as, quite frankly, the emotion and the gossip of this, because it's all part of how this government is being run. Musk going at Secretary of State Rubio, according to the New York Times, basically saying that Rubio was not firing anybody. Quote, "You have fired nobody." And Rubio responds, what about the more than 1,500 State Department officials who took early retirement in buyouts? Didn't they count as layoffs? Rubio asking then sarcastically if Musk wanted him to rehire all those people just so he could make a show of firing them again. These are two people at odds over the department that Rubio runs, and the subtext there is about who is being honest or accurate and who is just trying to put on a show. Musk then, the Times reports, was, quote, unimpressed and told Rubio actually he was the show, that he was, quote, good on TV. The subtext, the Times says, being that he was not good for much else. And let's be clear, both of these men have risen in their careers through some aspect of public show. Rubio ran for president. Musk was on the campaign trail. He's made himself into a big deal out in public, but that's how they deride each other in private, basically saying, you're not for real. No, you're not for real. No, you just do it on TV. Here we are talking about it on TV. Now, the Times reports the meeting was actually hastily scheduled because Trump's cabinet members, again, the most important people he's picked to run the agencies, had reached a kind of breaking point about what they call Elon Musk's chainsaw approach here to the cuts. And the meeting was in the cabinet room. The president was presiding, 20 officials attending. Then the Veterans Affairs Secretary, Doug Collins, using this opportunity to go after the way Musk has fired veterans and officials who work at the VA. We heard from one this week, for example. And what's interesting here, as you're going to see, is the dissent, the concern is internal. It's not just people protesting or people who've been ousted from the government. This is Trump's pick for the VA, saying Musk should not wield a blunt instrument and cleave off everyone from Veterans Affairs. They need to be strategic. Then you have Sean Duffy, who runs transportation, also going at Musk. What am I supposed to do, Mr. Duffy says, according to the Times report here. I have multiple plane crashes to deal with now. And your people want me to fire air traffic controllers? The question kind of makes the argument that that sounds absurd, dangerous even. And Musk then responds to that logical sounding question and says, well, Duffy's basically a liar. Quote, Mr. Musk told Mr. Duffy his assertion was a lie. And throughout all of this, the Times reports that a president who, of course, used to do pretend boardroom meetings on his reality show, Trump sat back in his chair, arms folded as if he were watching a tennis match. The meeting ended. Trump said that he does support Musk's ongoing cuts, but that cabinet members are supposed to run their agencies. And he said something that is actually a restoration of what the rules are supposed to be, and it is a sign of dysfunction, and many experts would say failure, that the president, with all his power, had to say this out loud. I really want to emphasize this because it's extraordinary reporting. That's why we're leaving it up on the screen. The Times with quite a scoop here. Quote, "From now on," Trump said, "the secretaries would be in charge. The Musk team would only advise." Translation, that is a demotion for Elon Musk.